We're smooth 98.1 FM. It's got exactly 28 minutes before we hit the 8 o'clock mark, and we've got the papers ready for you. It's time for Freshly Pressed, and the analysts are ready. The papers ready, the analysts ready, and you are ready. So let's just get you acquainted that we'd like to hear your thoughts, most importantly, reacting to any of the newspaper headlines this morning. If you send it over to 0809-444-0981, the analysts will have their say on the headlines. You would also have your say, and that's where we meet at the middle. I'd like to say good morning to AB Bozimo this morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, good morning, Omatseye. Good morning, Mr. C. Good morning to all of the wonderful listeners. Have a wonderful week ahead.
All right, and then I want to say good morning to Mr. C this morning.
Bonjour, Mas. Bonjour, AB. Bonjour, Lagos.
Okay, on Sundays you get to hear the Spanish side of Mr. C, but this is the French version of him this morning, so we'll make do with this one. So let's get started this morning with AB kicking things off for us to set the background for the story Mr. C will react to. We begin with the Nation newspaper this morning, where it says, Labour Party, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, call for cancellation of Imo governorship election. That's what the story is saying. So from this headline, it will be safe to say that an election has been won and lost by virtue of a declaration of a winner by INEC in Imo State already. So AB, walk us through this story and let's know why these parties are calling for cancellation.
Well, evidently, over the weekend, elections held in off-season elections held in 3 states, Imo, Bayelsa, and Kogi. And in this specific one, some of the other parties in the Imo State election have said that the security agencies connived with staff of INEC to somehow subvert the will of the people in the state. And they say that electoral materials have been diverted to different local government headquarters and individuals' homes, and that the results of the election were being rewritten. They allege that huge sums of money were brought to polling units but was rejected by the people, and that staff of INEC and all that allegedly have perverted the election. Based on that, they are saying the entire election be cancelled. I want to back off from this specific election a bit and take ourselves to some months back, where after a lot of fanfare about renewed processes and procedures, an election was held in this country at the national level as well. And there, based on the promises INEC officials had made both domestically in Nigeria and in some international fora, it seemed as if a new methodology for elections was about to be birthed in Nigeria. Based on that, there was a renewed sense of enthusiasm, I would argue, about the electoral system in Nigeria. Fast forward till today, or let's say a few days ago, when INEC made a very categorical statement that all the gadgets and procedures and processes that they procured with 380-something billion naira fundamentally mean nothing, in my opinion. That's my interpretation of what they said, because you can use a BVAS thing, but the IREV, which was supposed to be a game changer in that you could be seeing votes uploaded in real time, was not supposed to be relied on for anything. And so now we have a situation where it doesn't matter what happens. Evidently, INEC, Labour Party is saying they have evidence, but if you follow the recent tribunals and the final judgment, in my non-learned view, a precedent has been established where evidence, papers, prints, and all that don't matter because you can skate by on technicalities. Therefore, if INEC had done what INEC promised, I would have had more hope in this election. As it is, hope has triumphed in Imo, and that is the end of that. I don't expect anything like a cancellation to happen in any form at any time anymore.
Oh, all right, that's where AB would rest it, but Mr. C would like to chime in on that.
Okay, so very quickly, disclaimer, I'm from Imo State. I think it is now crystal clear, even to the blind, the stubborn, and the defiance that INEC, as it's presently constituted, cannot conduct or give us a credible election. I think it's crystal clear by now. At least now, the off-cycle elections, there are no clear favorites. It's not your favorite against my favorite or any of that business. It is inconceivable that the present governor of Imo State supposedly won in each of the local governments in that state. It is not possible. But as AB has said, a result has been declared, and given the track record of our courts presently, it's locked. It's a done deal.
All right, then that will lead you also, Mr. C, to help us understand why the EFCC is mentioning this one. The EFCC arrests 14 suspected vote buyers in Imo, Bayelsa, and Kogi State. Wouldn't this do a bit to at least assuage you to see that there is an effort being made at least to tame this?
So we had elections in February and March, correct? The hoodlums, the urchins, and the miscreants that were arrested during those elections, what happened to them? So what's new about this? This is just session. They're just playing to the gallery. Yes, you've arrested people. You've arrested them with money. Arresting them has never been the issue. Will they be prosecuted? And thankfully, there was an election this year. It's not like it was last year or the last election cycle. What came out of it? Absolutely nothing. So really and truly, nothing's going to come out of this, and there's nothing more for me to analyze in this story.
Because if not the staggering amount of an 11 million naira found, could this be?
Almost 11 million
on election day. Was this
11 million? 11 million is not a lot of money, given that votes now retail between 5,000 or 10,000 per voter. It's not a lot of money.
Okay, let's douse it a bit.
Not just that. Perhaps we should praise the EFCC for the complete 14 whole people that were arrested. I guess that's what the headline intends for us to do. Woohoo to the EFCC. Well done. Next story.
All right, moving on, AB, you would help us keep a tab on this next story as quickly as possible. Let's see, this one is for you, AB, and it's well, still election related. Okay, no, not on election related, but it's building related, and this might be your favorite, your forte, so would help us understand it. Federal government, that's the Federal Capital Territory, demolishes 11,705 structures in 11 months, generates over 2 billion naira. So the question again, like you would ask regularly when you deal with issues like this, you would say, did this building sprout from the ground overnight, and where were the authorities? And why did they decide to wake up? Hello, AB. Okay, while AB tries to reconnect, let's just get Mr. C started on the next item for us this morning. So, Mr. C, this next one would be something maybe you would help us understand as quickly as possible. This next one here is talking about, okay, the Nigerian Air Force. They had done a deal already. Nigerian Air Force orders 24 Italian aircraft to replace aging fighters. That's according to the report from the Punch newspaper.
Okay, so thank you, Mas. So the Nigerian Air Force has concluded another transaction to bring in 24 Italian fighter aircraft to replace its aging Dassault Alpha jets. Now, this is a good deal for Nigeria, because the M346 master aircraft were first rolled out in 2004. The first flight was in 2004. So it's less than 20 years. So it's good. And we hope that this will be used for the purposes for which it's been acquired, namely to protect Nigeria's air borders and also to take the fight to the terrorists. Remember, we've already taken delivery of the Tucano air platforms. But for very strange reasons or unknown reasons, we do not know why they have not been fully deployed in the fight against terrorists. Now, the only thing I'm going to add to this story is, from the story, it appears this is a done deal. Quick question. The purchase money, I hope it was captured in last year's budget or this year's budget, because we have seen over the years that the government governments at both the national and subnational level carry on and execute transactions with what they term anticipatory approval, meaning they first carry out the act, then go back to the legislature at the national and subnational levels, which more often than not tend to be convenient rubber stamps, who then ratify what has already been done. But kudos to the government, kudos to the Nigerian Air Force, and let's hope that they can maintain these aircraft properly so that we don't continue to receive stories of Nigerian Air Force planes dropping out of the sky and crashing. And more importantly, they have to arm these aircraft. So there's a separate transaction, separate contracts for the armaments, and let's hope and pray they're able to conclude everything, and it will be to the long-standing benefits of Nigeria.
Yeah, I like, because if 11 million naira isn't too much of a money, the amount this deal is worth, according to the story, is saying 1.2 billion euros, and to be delivered by next year.
Yes.
And you're talking about anticipatory approval on this one.
Almost. Recently, there was a transaction that was in the news that had been done, then they were waiting for anticipatory approval. Take your mind back to Ways and Means. The previous administration was borrowing money left, right, and center, and they hadn't gotten approval. Then they go back to the National Assembly, okay, please ratify what has been done. So the prayer is, I'm not even going to start today and wonder where the money is coming from, because for the deal to have been signed, then some sort of payment guarantee would have been issued to the manufacturers, and they're okay with that. So let's watch this space.
All right, so we'll watch this space and listen to this space as the deal unfolds. We'd like you to know that we'd like to hear your reactions to the headlines we're serving you this morning on Freshly Pressed on Smooth 98.1 FM. Get the messages coming on to 0809-444-0981, as where we'd like to read all the messages as they come through this morning. I see a couple of messages there already, but I'll be with you shortly. I see Joyce, I see I see Derek, I see Tony, team are also waiting already. Make sure your messages will be part of it. And when we come back, AB, you would help us understand how the demolition in the FCT is ongoing and how money is being made from it also as declaration. So all of that and more after this. The audio, no, sorry, hold on. The audio, oh, it's good, right? Out there. Okay, good. I just saying, leave the door open because it's like, I think it's like it's stuffy here. Maybe that's okay.
Ayo.
Okay, it's okay. We're Smooth 98.1 FM. Welcome back as we get into all of the newspaper headlines left as we drift now to get AB to help us make sense of this headline. It says the Federal Capital Territory demolishes 11,705 structures in 11 months, generates that's over 2 billion US 2 billion naira. That's what it's stated now. And this time when the country is looking for dollars. So sometimes if you have dreams and you see dollars, it happens. We're all praying for the country. But help us understand this. For a country where, as we speak right now, housing deficit, it's not even, we've not even been able to bridge it. But yet we're bringing down? Because I take it it's not trees that were felled, it's houses. So speak to us and help us understand about this.
You know, Omats, when I saw this headline, I was perplexed because I couldn't quite understand how demolition would generate this, but it's the way the headline was framed. Actually, these are two separate streams of the story. First of all, we'll start with the generation. The generation of 2 billion naira comes from assorted fees and levies that are properly assessed and duly paid. So that is in the normal course of administering, property and all that in the FCT. Now for the demolition, 11,705 structures. They say these are primarily slums and other unplanned communities. So you have to go back and ask the question, how could over 1,000, 3,000, 10,000, up to 11,000 places have come into existence unchecked? When I hear the demolition, yes, I do want to see better planning standards applied, people getting a better life. But there is, in my view, some neglect from the authorities in the first place. Yes, you shouldn't develop properties without approval. You should not. That is illegal. But where were the people? I'll always ask this very simple question. A building, by its very nature, is developed through a multitude of processes over a relatively long period of time. You can't build a building the way you can bake a cake in a little hidden oven. It takes people, it takes materials being supplied, it takes activity, workers, dust, smoke, everything. By the time you have people making structures, where are the authorities to have stopped them at the point of excavation, literally? So this is sad because, like you said, when these structures, shanty colonies and illegal structures are dismantled, it throws people into homelessness in many cases, even their locations of business. It has a tendency to increase crime rates. It increases desperation as a whole. And if or when you are doing that, what is the counterpart provision you are making as a government, as a responsible government, to take care of at least a quantum of the people displaced? 11,700 people suggest over 50,000 individuals, because on an average of 4, but in a shanty, the average could be up to 10. In a shanty. So you are talking about all that number of people who are already living on the borderlines of society and civilization, now thrown out. You are looking for a spike in crime that you could have prevented by doing the right thing in the first place, preventing the development. But I just want to say, imagine roughly 10,500 building approvals were granted in that period, leading, according to this person, to over 13,000 direct and indirect jobs. I must underscore the importance of the construction industry in any economic activity. In the US, every month they announce what they call the housing starts, saying how many people are actually building as a whole, how many approvals have become, because it is often an indicator of the state of an economy. Think of how many people are involved in construction. You have the groundnut seller, the woman who sells rice and all that on the side. You have the laborers, you have the craftsmen, carpenters, steel workers, everything. You have the block layers, plumbers, you have the professionals, you have the suppliers of materials, and then you have the authority, as we can see, making money. It is imperative, therefore, that the construction industry is seen as one of the most important sectors of the economy, and it employs all sorts of people, unlike maybe the oil industry that we all focus on, which has highly skilled, trained, and excellent engineers. Everybody with their right qualification can find a place in the construction industry, and it employs people directly, and the drivers who drive cement there, for goodness sake, all sorts of people. So let's not sleep on the construction industry. It can really help improve Nigeria's economy.
Okay, that takes us away now to see what the messages look like as they pile already. We'll just pop and see some of them here. Tony Chima from Ikeja says, Nigeria's democracy has not only entered one chance, it is held down on the floor of the Korokwe. It can neither breathe nor shout. When the Nigerian leadership dollarized our economy, that was the beginning of the chokehold. Just convert some dollars and you were both the king and the kingmaker. Tony from Ikeja sent in that one. Then we come Rexy from Surulere. Elections will be fought with irregularities as long as our political actors, name them, all don't play by the rules. The culture is setting. Areas of the country is that of do or die. The culture is the problem. Let's stop scapegoating INEC all the time. Rexy from Surulere. Then comes in Ayo with a message for us this morning, Ayo_Lagos. It goes, analysts saying that unless the preferred candidate win in an election, the election is not credible. This is a dangerous trend, and we do not need this. Positing Imo election in the light of February 2023 election is not right in a view, and then we can't come and say out accusations without facts. Is it the fault of the judiciary if a party fails to prove its allegations in court? Well, she goes on, we need to be fair. If a particular party has won, will our analysts feel differently? Okay, let's get Aderemi's thoughts in here. Abi, you want to say something quickly?
Yes, I made mention of the promise that INEC gave. I made no reference to any particular party. And I posited on this platform or elsewhere that if INEC did what INEC said, no matter who the winner or loser of the election, it would have been widely acclaimed. INEC did not do what INEC said. That is why I speak about INEC and not about the parties. I really don't care about the parties or candidates.
Okay, very quickly, 30 seconds. For me, it's win by the book, win by the law, not win using all sorts of funny measures. And like AB said, if INEC did what it said it would do, then there'll be no business about who wins. Nobody is interested in who wins. But win properly, win according to the law. That's the point we're on.
Then comes Joyce this morning with this one. I share your view on Mr. C. I am from Imo State. How hope wins each local government or Diego. Election is in Nigeria. Goes on. INEC and goes on. Chinwendu sent in that one, but we see the message, Chinwendu. Then Cisco Delgado comes. If 11 million naira is not a big money, please give it to me and my life will change for good. That's what, responding to what Mr. C saying, what 11 million naira can do at an election is about converting dollars.
Uncle Cisco, 11 million naira is less than $11,000. It's not going to change your life. You're a big man now.
Okay, drifting away, let's get in this one from, okay, I think I see your name, Deji. When they spend so much to subvert electoral rules and regulation, what will happen when they actually enter into office? Well, it goes on, the abuse of power, misappropriation of public funds, and corruption becomes the bolder and above the law. It's like having, goes on, vetted and into police force. What do you expect him to do as an officer of the law? Abbas, I see the message here. Abbas comes in. Democracy is always in danger when the ruling party wins. But we hail the process when the opposition party wins. Word for AB Bozimo and for Mr. C this morning now. Abbas comes with a whip this morning there. It goes on. It's not impossible for a candidate to win all local government in an election. We have precedents, and this is not new unless we want to hide our disdain for the present governor of a particular state on hearsay, his party alliance, and our own feelings. Well, why should INEC be blamed for ballot snatching and vote buying, which were perpetrated by politicians and their cronies? For the second time, someone is saying, look, it's like, why is INEC always being the scapegoat? Why always INEC when the actors in it are subverting the rules?
So what has INEC done to the previous people who were found to have subverted the process? What did they do about it? Because they did nothing, it has continued to occur. If you take the perpetrators of the subversion of electoral rules, you prosecute them, and then you ban from electoral activities for a minimum period of 10 years, a lot of this nonsense will stop.
That takes us to
i.e. consequences.
So Mr. C would speak on oil matters away from the ballot now. Let's see if this would cheer you up a bit, Mr. C. From The Guardian, federal government has achieved a lot in fight against oil theft. That's according to the Minister of State for Defense. And he puts a figure presently at 1.7 million barrels per day. Walk us through the story, Mr. C.
Okay, thank you very much. So the Minister of State for Defense was speaking apparently over the weekend, and he said a lot of measures have been taken to reduce oil theft. Now, unsurprisingly to me, none of the measures were identified or explained. What he made reference to was oil production went up from 1 million to about 1.7. Now, the 1.7 million barrels, Honorable Minister, does it include condensate or is it without condensate? So if you extract condensate, what is the real figure? Are we looking at a 1.2 million barrels per day? Are we looking at 1.3 million barrels per day output? Because when you merge the two, it can give a very flattering figure. The truth of the matter is this. He says illegal oil platforms have been destroyed. The people behind it have been arrested. Now, this is news to me, at least, that people were arrested, because the reports I've come across recently suggest that the platforms are destroyed, but nobody's arrested. So the people who have been arrested, what has happened to them? Have they been investigated? Has anyone been arraigned in court to face possible prosecution? So it's really a mystery to Nigerians who think like me what these measures are and then how sustainable they are. Now, we've continued to discover illegal oil pipeline connections. He says the Navy is up to task, that they see everything. Now, if you see everything, how were those connections made? Over what period of time? So it's like the station here, I'm running about. It's like the station here, the mast in the compound. If we come one day and we don't see the mast, and then the security team tells us, we're as surprised as you guys, would that make any sense?
Okay, I'll tell us a joke relating to that. Just remind me to do that before we leave, and then that's also just hold me to that. Just wrap up this for us, AB, if you can, in less than a minute. It's the punch, and it's about monies, and I hope you see a lot of money this week. And this one comes: custom generates 59 billion naira in 6 months. Sees 51.7 million contraband. Here we go from the Oyo Osun Area Command.
Well, that's good news on the revenue front. The customs is announcing that just in one area command, and remember, we have customs all around the country. So if one area command is generating this 59, almost 60 billion naira, when you aggregate that with all the other customs commands, hopefully we're getting a quantum from the customs. They're a very important part too of the economy, because things like fees and tariffs and all that are normally assessed on people. Then they also said they made seizures of some cannabis and a Dane gun, everything altogether worth 51.1 million. I think it's just like a status report on what they're up to, what they're doing, some parboiled rice, some used bales of clothing, and one used bag. I just find it very interesting that this can amount to 51.1 million, but I have no idea about the value of these things. A Dane gun and a single bag. Interesting.
Thank you so much, AB Bozimo, for your time. But let's just quickly see if we can train a few more message in. Abbas Oladipo is on Mr. C's case this morning, but then take it easy. Like we say, the analyst will have their say, the listener too would have your say. There, that's it. In the middle, we'll find where the story is going. So let's get in some more here. I see Adewale's message. I think people should listen and comprehend what the analysts are saying without attaching sentiments. The first statement from INEC refused to play by their rules. If they did, we wouldn't have issues with allegations of bad elections.
God bless you, sir.
That's so far all the message I can take this morning. So what about that joke I was going to throw in before we leave? So, because Mr. C had said, if you come and see the mass moved, and then the security said they didn't see it. So that was a case of a particular, organization somewhere where these guys came at night and moved the computers. And so in the morning, when the organization came to ask about what happened, they were asking the security guys, who apparently were asleep all night. Guess what they said? They said they didn't know. But somewhere along the line, when they woke up in the morning to ease themselves, they saw people who were carrying things that looked like television and just moving out of the premises. There, you get the joke by the end of the day. But then that's all we can say. Thank you so much, Eddie Bozimo, for your time.
Thank you for having me. For those who agree or disagree.
The network now, finally.
Talk to me.
All right. So thank you, Mr. C, for your time.
Thank you for having me, and
on all platforms.
Thank you for having me, and
I said,
we can
talk to
pick
me
up
at AB.
Okay, so Mr. C, you were saying?
Thank you for having me, and we can pick up these conversations at Monsieur C on all social media platforms. Abbas, I would love to hear from you.
All right, it's a wrap. My name is Omatseye Atsenuwa. Good morning.